Time on Nation's Dumbest.
Let's go.
Keep going. Go. Stop.
Where's Carmen? Just give me the trophy now.
What happened?
Just give me everything I'm awful at. Let's go.
I hope she's okay.
I'm gonna nominate Ice.
He has tried to do me dirty.
Am I starting a rivalry?
I'm smarter than you think.
Hello, Ice. I see you.
In a shocking twist, one celebrity will get expelled from Nation's Dumbest. All new Wednesday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
18 charged with 2 murders in Chelsea in 2025 will be tried as an adult despite being 16 years old when the alleged crimes occurred. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Beth Jones. According to state police, 43-year-old Christopher Hunnewell and his adopted son, 22-year-old Ty Carter, were found by state troopers dead inside 616 Windsor Road in Chelsea in June of 2025. The teen accused of killing them is 17-year-old Jason Hunnewell. He was a cousin to one of the victims who had taken him in. According to court paperwork, multiple factors were considered, including potential threats to public safety. There's no set timetable right now for when a trial might proceed. A head-on crash in Randolph has left 1 person dead. Kennebec County Chief Deputy Chris Reed says deputies responded to 76 Water Street in Randolph Thursday a little after 2 p.m. According to the report, all of the people were still trapped in both of the vehicles involved. Reed says 62-year-old Deborah Alexander of Gardner was driving one of the vehicles, and despite life-saving efforts, she died at the scene. Her passenger, 18-year-old Troy Simmons of Gardner, was transported to Maine Medical Center with severe injuries. Reed says 51-year-old Marion Porter of China, who was driving the other vehicle, was taken to Central Maine Medical Center with severe injuries. Reed says the preliminary investigation indicates Alexander's vehicle drifted into the oncoming lane and struck the other vehicle head-on. That crash remains under investigation. In other news tonight, $30 million is on its way to 11 rural hospitals in Maine. The money from the Department of Health and Human Services is intended to help strengthen the long-term financial health and sustainability of rural hospitals across our state. A statement from DHHS says the hospitals were invited to participate after an analysis of some key financial factors. The agency identified hospitals that would benefit the most from the one-time investment. Millinocket Regional Hospital, Mount Desert Island Hospital, Northern Light A.R. Gould Hospital, and Maine Health Penn Bay Hospital are among the recipients. An HIV outbreak in Penobscot County continues to grow. A new case of HIV has been identified in Penobscot County, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 45. The Maine CDC says 91% of those diagnosed since 2023 have used injectable drugs, and 91% are also facing homelessness. The majority of those in Penobscot County living with HIV also have hepatitis C. Many of them have been able to receive care, but not all. More information is available on the Maine CDC's website, including resources for testing and care, as well as safety tips and how to know if you're at risk for HIV infection. Well, after 45 years of serving some of Bangor's most vulnerable populations, the Together Place has been forced to temporarily close their doors. This afternoon, they announced that they fell short of their fundraising goal by $75,000. This puts a pause on many of their vital services, including free meals, local resources, recovery services, and cooling and warming shelter. Leaders of the organization are adamant that they're not giving up on their mission or the community they built. Their doors will temporarily close, but board president Shay Mullaney says they're not saying goodbye, just see you later.
It's an intrinsic part of recovery. We have a responsibility. When somebody needs help, our hand is always there. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we've been doing and hopefully continue to do. We love Bangor. I love Bangor. This has become my home, and I am honored to give back. This is the place where I got sober. This is the place where my life changed, and I just want to give that back to everybody else here. We all go through together.
Well, according to Mullaney, the Together Place does plan to reopen when possible. They're still accepting donations and say that every little bit helps get them further to that goal of reopening. Head to togetherplace.org to support their mission and donate. Well, switching gears now, Maine's Secretary of State is responding to questions that have been raised about Troy Jackson's eligibility to run as the Democratic candidate against Susan Collins. Maine House Minority Leader James White, who represents portions of Piscataquis and Somerset counties, sent a letter to Shenna Bellows challenging Jackson's eligibility and calling for an immediate investigation. He said it was not lawful to run for two offices in an election cycle. Jackson's bid for governor fell short months ago. In her letter to White, Bellows wrote, quote, "While Maine law does prohibit candidates running for multiple offices in certain circumstances, the selection of Troy Jackson by the Democratic Party to fill the vacancy left by the party's candidate withdrawing in the U.S. Senate race is not one of them," end quote. Well, folks in central Maine will be coming together tomorrow for the 3rd annual memorial ride in honor of the late Corporal Andrew Hutchins. The ride is organized by the Hutchins family. Andrew was killed in action in 2010 while serving in Afghanistan. Hutchins was a military policeman serving with the 101st Airborne Division out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He was just 20 years old when he was killed. His daughter was just an infant at the time. His family says the memorial ride is their way of honoring his life and service to our country. It is also a way to continue his legacy by giving back to his community.
Honor his family, his daughter, Alyssa, who's here with us tonight. Sometimes I'm at a loss for words. Why would they do that for our family? But it's bringing an awareness for all of the communities that you might have Gold Star families right next door to you. Their heroes should not be forgotten.
Well, Route 202 Pizza Grill in North Monmouth will be open for breakfast with a special event menu, and they are hosting the event. Registration begins at 8 a.m., and if you haven't registered yet, you can still do so on their Facebook page or when you arrive. Motorcycle, cars, trucks, and more are invited to join the ride, and we'll have a link on our website, foxbangor.com. A close call at the Blue Hill Fairgrounds this morning. Officials with the fair say just before 8 a.m. a grass fire started and spread a short distance to their pulling building, which also houses their Charlotte's Web exhibit. They credit the quick action of the Blue Hill Fire Department with the fact that there was only minimal damage. Fair officials say, quote, "Without these dedicated folks who drop everything when their pagers go off, we would have lost a special building and exhibit. Thank you from the Blue Hill Fair and the thousands of fair patrons who will be able to enjoy their visit to us." And on a related note, the Bangor State Fair kicked off yesterday morning, and while rides like the Ferris wheel bring excitement, the agriculture section gives the public a look into a vital Maine industry. Our Calvin White has more.
The Bangor State Fair sees thousands of visitors from across Maine every year who go on rides, eat carnival food, and listen to live music. But away from those festivities, inside the Cross Insurance Center is perhaps the fair's most important area, the agriculture section. According to the fair's livestock superintendent, Jesse Caron, the agriculture section is often busy, but this year there's an extra effort to expand its reach to younger people.
We're pushing hard. This fair especially, we push hard for educational. We have a facility that we can have classroom space, stuff like that. So we have different instructors coming in throughout the weekend for the youth and public if they want to come.
The education doesn't end in the classrooms though, as the farmers who show off their livestock at the fair are excited to answer questions someone may have as they walk by all of the calves.
I think there's a true disconnect between what the public knows about where their food comes from to what actually happens. So we're kind of here to fill in any gaps or questions that they have, and we're more than happy to answer questions that they have.
Friday, the agriculture section of the fair held a dairy and beef show, where farmers showcased their cows and were judged. The contestants walking the cows, and many of those taking care of the cows during downtime, were youth. Bagley says the youth turnout is promising for the future of agriculture in the state and country.
That's extremely important as well, because we need farmers to feed America and to keep ag going.
The fair will continue till August the 8th. In Bangor, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, here's hoping Mother Nature cooperates with the fair, but let's get a first look at our forecast and see what's coming just for the rest of this evening.
Thank you very much. Our first weather tonight is brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the quality automotive difference, reliable service, and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment at 922-2043. All right, those temperatures still reached into the low 80s out there here in Bangor for today. As you take a look at your coastline, mid to upper 70s in Rockland, but the rest of us low to mid 80s for the southwestern portion of the state. A bit cooler up north for today thanks to cloud cover, but low to mid 70s still in Presque Isle and Holton. That was the same for Greenville and Clayton Lake as well. For tonight, maybe a sprinkle or two in some very local spots. Otherwise, many of us staying dry throughout the night. As we go into tomorrow, same thing. We'll get some sunshine for the peak daytime hours, but clouds will creep in and we could have a chance for an isolated storm or two, mainly in the southwestern portion of the state. But out there for tonight, partly cloudy skies. Many of us looking to stay dry. We'll have lows in the mid to upper 50s with calm winds for tonight.
Thank you, Chase, and we have more local news just ahead.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
A homeowner asks, my basement only leaks every few years. Do I need to fix it? Yes. Basements are dry most of the time, but to use the basement, you need it dry all the time, even during storms. Moisture could weaken your foundation, ruin belongings, and create an environment where mold thrives. But our system can keep your basement dry all the time. Call us today for all things basementy.
Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $750 customer cash in the purchase of a new 2026 Sportage.
Live from the Maine Lobster Festival in Rockland, it's the Lobster Crate Races. Watch fearless racers dash across floating lobster crates. Will they make it or take a spectacular splash? Who will stay on their feet? And who will take the plunge? Don't miss the Lobster Crate Races live from the Maine Lobster Festival, Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. only on Fox 22.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
As summer in Maine reaches its peak, one of the state's most treasured agricultural resources begins its prime as well. Our Sam Miller has the story.
From late July to early September, Maine's fresh wild blueberry season is in its prime, and local farms are already hard at work.
We're a third of the way through our harvest and probably still have another 3 weeks to go.
Williams Family Farm in Clifton has started their blueberry production process, gearing up for a season that drives a large portion of the state's agricultural economy. While most growers sell their berries to processors, the Williams farm does everything from start to finish themselves before delivering them. Every day, blueberries are harvested and offloaded by the truckload. According to farm co-owner John Williams, this is where the real fun begins.
We put it through the process line. The machinery does a lot of taking the leaves and the sticks out, and even takes a lot of the green berries and soft berries out. And then by hand we have to finish and get the remaining stems and green ones out before they're packaged in a quart. It's basically ready for sale at that point.
On Thursday, the farm delivered 2,600 quarts of blueberries, their biggest yet. Williams says this is a great sign that the season will be fruitful.
It's a very good season. It's a good crop. You know, whether it's someone small like us or the big growers, it's going to be a good crop. And last year was an awful season, so that's going to be a big boost to all the people. It's much needed.
Williams Farm is open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Clifton, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Food Food insecurity is a growing problem here in Maine. According to a new report from Feeding America, more than 200,000 Mainers didn't know where their next healthy meal would come from last year. Our Alex Schley has more on the report's findings and how local organizations are trying to keep up with the growing need.
Thursday, Feeding America released the findings of a study looking at growing food insecurity in Maine.
That's a change from about 190,000 people to 203,000 people, right? So about 13,000 people more who are not certain where their next meal is going to come from. We also see in that number 50,000 children.
McCarthy says the recent findings were based on numbers collected during 2024.
So what we know from firsthand experience here on the ground is that hunger is likely even higher than that in today's reality because those numbers don't reflect federal changes to food programs that have gone into place in the last 18 months.
McCarthy says the study reveals that rural communities, specifically those in Washington County, were adversely affected by individuals facing food insecurity. Chris Street, the nutrition director for Eastern Area Agency on Aging, which provides Meals on Wheels for residents in Penobscot, Hancock, Piscataquis, and Washington counties, say they have seen this firsthand.
Especially for those on our Meals on Wheels program that are really in deep need of good nutrition, that the referrals that we've seen come in for that have increased by about 100% over the last 2 years. We used to average about 20, 25 referrals every single month, and we're starting to get into the 50 to 60 per month across our four counties.
Street says while the increased demand is putting increased stress on nonprofits, they are continuing to work every day to help Mainers in need.
To see people struggling to get the food that they need, and in seeing that not even just being food insecure is their only issue, but it's a root cause of many of the other problems, health concerns that they end up having.
Alex Schley reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And just ahead, we'll start looking at your national headlines. Don't go anywhere.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
Hi. You okay? Yeah, just changing up my look. I see that. I gotta lay low. See that brand new Hyundai Tucson? I only paid.
Huh. Well, you look stunning.
Enjoy your new car.
Feels so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Right now, lease a Hyundai Elantra SE for $119 a month or get $2,000 customer cash. Hurry in.
Cancer affects everyone, but there is hope at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center's Champion the Cure Challenge, where every dollar raised helps patients in our own backyard. Make a difference. Walk, run, or cycle August 15th in Brewer. Visit ctcchallenge.org.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
President Trump and his cabinet continued their tradition of open meetings, covering everything from Iran and Ukraine to Todd Blanche and the Anti-Weaponization Fund. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
President Trump and his cabinet tackled a stacked agenda in a different location Friday.
This is something very unique. It's Camp David. It's a very special place.
President Trump hit on his usual talking points, touting the economy and the border before taking reporters' questions on topics like Iran.
There's a report that you got a proposal from the military to go
we're going big.
Are you going to consider?
We've already gone big. Look, I mean, what's big? Their radar is all gone. Their leaders are all gone. Everything's all gone. But they'll fight onward.
And when pressed on the Ukraine war, President Trump talked about the complications of giving President Zelensky the Patriot missiles he's asking for.
These weapons are incredible. We have to be very careful about letting somebody build them. We have not agreed to that. We're talking about it.
And on issues here at home, the press and the president touching on hot topics like Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's confirmation and the status of an anti-weaponization fund.
Do you agree with the Acting Attorney General that the anti-weaponization fund is dead?
It's dead, but, you know, I wish it weren't, to be honest with you. Todd Blanche is a very, very good man, and he shouldn't be in the middle of this.
President Trump singled out outgoing Texas Senator John Cornyn for stalling Blanche's confirmation. Cornyn and North Carolina Republican Tom Tillis are demanding written assurances from Justice Department officials about the president's settlement with the IRS. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Trump says the agreement with the Hamas terror group to disarm is a big step for the Middle East. He insists Israel is on board with the plan. Fox's Steve Harrigan has the story from Tel Aviv.
President Trump says he's doing something long considered impossible, disarming Hamas, forging a stable peace, and beginning a withdrawal of Israeli forces.
Most people said that would be a deal that would be undoable. It's a very complex situation over there. The people are very complex and difficult. If you go 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a deal like that would have been impossible.
The president acknowledged there will be ups and downs in what is expected to be weeks of intense negotiations to decide what weapons will be turned over to whom and which nations will be on the ground to enforce the peace. Two things are clear. The situation on the ground is desperate. The need for rebuilding after 3 years of destruction urgent. The other is a deep sense of skepticism on both sides. For Palestinians on the ground, that the international community can restore lost homes and jobs.
I call on Mr. Trump, the President of the United States, to pressure Israel to withdraw completely from the Gaza Strip.
For Israelis being asked to make a deal with a terrorist organization that murdered 1,200 people and took 250 civilians hostage.
We don't think this agreement will happen because we don't believe Hamas will do it. They're lying.
The IDF confirmed this week that they eliminated one of the Hamas commanders who infiltrated Israel on October 7th. President Trump says it is the U.S. success in the war with Iran that could help transform Gaza. With Iran at war, Hamas has lost its main financial backer. In Tel Aviv, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Saturday will mark 6 months since Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, and this week the Pima County Sheriff is providing an update on where the investigation stands. Fox's Claudia Cowan reports.
6 months after Nancy Guthrie was taken from her Tucson, Arizona home, there is still no sign of the 84-year-old or answers about who took her. Still, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says investigators continue to follow every credible lead.
We believe, just as the family, Savannah, others, that somebody does know something.
On Thursday, he announced a hair sample recovered from inside Nancy's home did not point to a suspect. And now multiple labs are trying to untangle a mixed DNA sample from as many as 4 people. But months into the search, there are growing concerns over how the case has been handled. FBI Director Kash Patel previously criticized local law enforcement, accusing them of initially shutting federal investigators out of the case, something the sheriff has denied.
The state has the right and the sheriff has the right to conduct his investigation, and he has the right to own it as well. They sent the DNA to a private laboratory, which took 6 weeks. We offered Quantico from Jump, the world's best laboratory.
In a new video this week, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie appealed to her mother's potential captors, asking them to do the right thing.
Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her.
That is a desperate situation to be in, and it indicates to me that they really don't have much else to work on.
The family is offering a $1 million reward for information leading to Nancy's recovery. In Sausalito, California, Claudia Cowan, Fox News.
The Seattle Police Department has released body cam footage of the moment police officers responded to a fatal gang-related shooting at a food festival near the Space Needle last weekend. That video shows officers assisting 3 of the victims. A 15-year-old was arrested at the scene and has been charged with assault. 3 people, including a suspect, were killed and 4 others were injured, including a 2-year-old boy. Police are continuing their search for more suspects. The video release follows the ousting of the city's police chief after criticism over the slow release of information related to the case. Well, President Trump says he does not think Iranian hackers are behind the cyber attack on Minnesota water systems. Facilities in several states are reporting incidents. Fox's Mike Tobin has the latest from Chicago.
The FBI says water and wastewater utility companies in 7 states have now reported malicious cyber attack incidents since Monday. Investigators immediately suspected Iran, but not the president.
They blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
The first evidence of trouble surfaced in Minnesota. The mayor of Brahms says on Monday the water plant operator realized the tower was calling for water, but the well was not cooperating. The power worked, but the machinery did not respond properly. 3 other cities reported similar problems. In the end, Minnesota officials say 30 communities were impacted. For years, Iran has targeted U.S. water systems. This suspected attack fit the pattern.
The methodologies that were used are very, very similar to previous Iranian hack attacks.
Experts say Iran is probing for a weak point to increase pressure on President Trump.
All they have to do is pick the 1 or 2 things that's very difficult for us to defend. It could be Minnesota today. It could be a small town in Kansas tomorrow.
Local leaders and cyber experts say they should serve as a wake-up call for investment in security.
A lot of these systems are super archaic. I mean, you're talking, 60s, 70s, and 80s technology, which is really difficult to secure and would cost millions, if not tens of millions of dollars to, fix those systems or upgrade them.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz responded with social media posts claiming DOJ gutted the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, leaving the U.S. vulnerable to attack. He also says this shows the president does not have a plan to win the war with Iran. In Chicago, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Officials say about 60,000 migrants have entered a Spanish territory located on the northern African coast in the past 24 hours. At least 41 migrants have died attempting the crossing. Fox's senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott explains.
Tens of thousands of migrants stormed the tiny Spanish territory of Ceuta on the northern African coast. Many arrived by swimming around the coastal barriers after crossing the border from neighboring Morocco, while others rushed onto the town's beaches and roads. Spain has now deployed its military to the border, hoping to restore order. But the crossings have turned deadly. People have died by drowning or being trampled in stampedes. Some left searching for their relatives.
I've come here to look for my sister's son. I don't know if he is dead or alive. I have his residency card, but I don't now know where he is. I'm searching.
Once they crossed the border, many were left to sleep in parks or on sidewalks while others roamed the streets. Ceuta has been a Spanish possession since 1580. It's a mixed population of Christians and Muslims, Spanish and Moroccan. It's been an immigration hotspot that flares up from time to time. While it's not immediately clear what prompted so many to leave at once, many desperate migrants from across Africa do try to come for a better life in Europe.
It's a bad life in Morocco. That's why we get swimming to here.
President Trump commented on the situation, telling Fox, quote, "It's terrible. Remember that picture? That's going to be us in 3 years if the wrong side gets in." In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
And we have more national headlines after the break.
The stars of IndyCar look to chase down Alex Palou in Portland.
Palou will take the victory!
Sunday, August 9th on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
For the best selection in classic and contemporary furnishings, stop by Richard Parks Furniture on High Street in Ellsworth. Handcrafted New England-made bedrooms and dining rooms, imported Scandinavian recliners and upholstery, more than 40 lines of furniture for the home and patio. Richard Parks Furniture is your #1 stop for quality, functionality, and well-designed furniture at affordable prices. Richard Parks Furniture.
Discover Richard Parks.
132 High Street in Ellsworth.
Discover Richard.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer. And some call me the King. There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
Nothing runs like a deer.
And Greenway Equipment Sales makes it easy to keep your John Deere running smoothly year-round. Our mobile maintenance truck will come to you and service most walk-behind and riding lawn equipment right in your yard. Just call or schedule online. Whatever the season, we'll have you tuned up, sharpened up, and geared up to mow or blow whatever Mother Nature dishes up. Contact the Smith Brothers today for service delivered.
Nothing runs like a deer. From Greenway Equipment Sales, family owned and operated since 1994.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are having a tough time finding consensus on a bill they say could save college sports, and the clock is ticking. Fox's Tonya J. Powers has more from New York.
This is the most viable bipartisan compromise bill on protecting college sports.
Lawmakers have been saying all year they're close to a deal on a new bill that would help save college sports. But despite intense negotiations with the SEC and Big Ten, major differences remain, including requirements for how many Olympic and women's sports programs schools must have.
Schools have cut some of those non-revenue sports to pay for the increase that they're seeing in football and basketball. And we want to make sure we're keeping women in Olympic sports.
Both Republicans and Democrats are now offering concessions, including a $20 million retention pool schools could use to keep top players from leaving, part of a major push to reform rules that allow direct payments to student athletes.
Y'all all need to get together and come up with a plan about how to fix the problems. If you rely on Congress, God knows what you'll end up with.
The NCAA and major conferences are also asking for antitrust protections similar to Major League Baseball and the NFL. The president has indicated he'd support that if it helps to stop players from transferring to a different school for a bigger paycheck.
They got some rulings that really essentially destroyed college sports, and we're working with Randy Levine and Nick Saban and some great people or trying to save it because it's so horrible.
Sponsors of the bill are hoping to bring it to a vote before the Senate leaves for summer break on August 7th. In New York, Tonya J. Powers, Fox News.
According to data from the National Center for PTSD, 7% of veterans will have the mental health condition at some point in their lives. The Cleveland Clinic says symptoms can include flashbacks, mood changes, being easily startled, having trouble sleeping, and more, which can create negative situations and hardship for those affected and their families. But hope may be on the horizon for those who haven't seen results from other conventional treatments. Fox's Deborah Valentine takes a look at the results of a trial testing the safety and effectiveness of using a psychedelic-assisted therapy.
We're learning more about the first U.S. clinical trial involving psilocybin-assisted therapy in veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder who receive no relief from conventional treatments. Psilocybin is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms.
In this study, they completed 8 hours of preparation therapy, followed by 2 doses of psilocybin, and then integration therapy prior to finishing up the trial.
12 veterans completed the 11-week pilot trial, with researchers at The Ohio State University saying the main findings exceeded expectations.
We didn't see a significant increase in suicidality, which is a critical component of veteran care given the high rates of suicides in this population. And most importantly, we found that there was a significant and large reduction in PTSD symptoms until 1 month after the treatment was completed, with 75% of veterans in complete remission.
Teams say the treatment is deeper than just taking a drug.
The drug session itself is actually just a catalyst for this deep work. It opens up a window for people to perhaps access things that they wouldn't be able to access emotionally otherwise. But what that does is it catalyzes the therapeutic process after, and that's really where the magic happens.
With one participant sharing his experience.
I think it had a profound effect on me, my life, most important, my family, my marriage. It allowed me the space cognitively to push pause before I chose a reaction.
Researchers are hoping to gain more funding to complete a larger controlled clinical trial in the future. Deborah Valentine, Fox News.
Star workers in the office can be good for business but bad for morale if the ego goes unchecked. Fox's Gary Baumgarten tells us why experts are saying work is about far more than the product.
Business experts say high performers at work can be a good thing or a bad one.
What we find is stars start out really high, but they actually start to decline over time.
The reasons behind that are simple. Research from Associate Professor Matthew Call shows that employees early on in their careers usually work very hard and perform very well, but because many lack experience, they aren't necessarily getting paid top dollar for their top-tier work. And over time, salaries may increase, but their performances may start declining. Although star workers can be good for the bottom line, they can also be bad for office morale if they develop an ego.
I think it's very easy for a star employee to have the mindset that I'm performing this, so it doesn't matter what people think of me. I'm creating this value, so I should be able to do what I want.
But employers just have to know how to handle their star performers by helping them realize that they do better with peer support.
Some of the optimal strategies for managing top performers is helping them to understand that what their peers think of them matters.
Call says top performers at work can be mentored too, and employers can start by challenging them to recognize work is a group effort. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Well, if you love shopping for new clothes, the city you live in might be the reason why you're spending more. A new study by Wallet Hub shows Cleveland is the least affordable city for clothing purchases, with residents spending an average of about $120 on 3 clothing items. The Forest City is followed by Birmingham, Alabama, and Detroit. Researchers also found clothing affordability varied notably by city, in some cases with people spending more than 3% of their monthly income on clothing items. Analysts compared the prices of basic clothing pieces like boy jeans, women's slacks, and men's dress shirts in 100 large cities across the U.S. A beloved theme park is raising its prices. Fox Business Network's Kelly Saberi has a look at that story and more in today's Fox Means Business.
Markets finished in the green for your Friday, all 3 major indices closing higher. The Nasdaq was the best performer, closing more than 1% higher. Anthropic announced its AI models hacked into 3 organizations during an experiment. Just days ago, OpenAI breached the systems of other companies, cueing Anthropic to check if their AI model was capable of the same thing. Using Claude, Anthropic found its AI models could breach private networks for secret information. Anthropic is urging other organizations to check their models as well. Y'all Street is live. The Texas Stock Exchange officially opened for trading. The Dallas-based exchange has now rolled out trading for all U.S.-listed tickers. The company hopes to compete with the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. Its first initial public offerings are expected to launch next year. And the happiest place on earth just got pricier. Disneyland is raising prices again on food and beverage items. The biggest increase was at the theme park's sit-down restaurants, where prices are up an average of 6.5%. This comes just weeks after Disneyland raised prices on more than 800 food and drink items across 178 dining locations in its parks and resort hotels. Some menu items increased by as much as $4. That's business. I'm Kelly Saberi.
And just ahead, we have your full 5-day forecast.
Many of us stayed dry out there for today, and we're looking to do the same for tomorrow with some warmer temperatures back. But as we go into the end of your weekend, into the beginning of the work week, we got some more rain on the way. When exactly will it arrive? We'll have those answers coming right up.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
You're driving down the road, and out of nowhere, boom! You're hurt in a car accident. When you call the twos, all you have to do is get better while I work to get you paid. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go. Oh my goodness! Absolute madness!
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Quiz with ball. Release the ball. Let's get it on! It's Cash or Splash.
The Quiz with Balls, all new Mondays on Fox.
Thank you very much. We reached back into the 80s for today here in Bangor, and many of us in the southwestern portion of the state did as well. We saw that in Bar Harbor, 77 for you in Rockland, but lots of us low to mid-80s, as you can see in Augusta, Portland, Lewis, and Freiburg. You get the idea. But up north, a bit cooler for you, but still 70s out there. 71 in Presque Isle for today, being the coolest spot in the state. As you see, 72 in Greenville, but 76 in Clayton Lake further north. So for tonight, you are going to see some cooler temperatures up north with some more clear skies. You could see some upper 40s possibly in the Clayton Lake area. The rest of us will be in the 50s for tonight, mid to upper 50s here in Bangor. Some of us could be right around 60 towards the southwestern portion of the state, but the heat returns for tomorrow, a bit warmer than we saw it there for today. Looking at mid 80s here in Bangor. If you're not in the mid 80s, more than likely in the upper 70s and low 80s for you across the state. So many of us close to average. We're looking to be a bit above for tomorrow here in Bangor. We're going to stay that way into your Sunday, but Monday a cold front arrives and we're going to see mid 70s for highs. That's thanks to a lot of cloud cover with widespread showers and a few rumbles of thunder throughout the day, but no issues with those temperatures going back up. Mid to upper 80s Tuesday and the Wednesday, and we stay in the mid 80s Thursday and the Friday of next week, staying above average. So wind speeds out there tonight, we're starting to see them really lighten up, right? But into tomorrow, a breeze will arrive again from the south. We had more of those winds from the northeast for today, so the southerly winds return, gusting near 15, maybe 20 miles per hour in some local spots, but otherwise winds will be all right. They'll lighten up again throughout your Saturday night into your Sunday morning, but once we get into the afternoon for Sunday, Thursday, we can see some winds start gusting near 25 miles per hour, and that's due to some low pressure getting closer and closer as we head towards your Monday. So tomorrow there is a chance for a thunderstorm out there, but mainly in the southwestern portion of the state. It's going to be isolated in nature, so not everyone's going to get a storm. The rest of us look to stay dry throughout your Saturday. We will see increasing clouds throughout the day, but still plenty of sunshine to help us warm up into those 80s beforehand. Now, here's Sunday. It's kind of the similar deal to your Saturday, but better chances in storm coverage reaching up into the Presque Isle area. So more of north central Maine can see more of those storms for your Sunday afternoon. Again, looking like good chances of staying pretty dry here in Bangor and along your coastline off to the east. Now, it's going to be a different story in the Monday, but we need to get some more data to give you a better idea of what that looks like. But as of right now, we'll get some beneficial rainfall for sure heading into your Monday afternoon. For tonight, we got lows in the mid to upper 50s. We're staying dry, some partly cloudy skies. We can see some areas of dense fog out there as winds lighten up throughout the night. Into tomorrow, we can get a little bit of wind again from the south for tomorrow. That's going to help us warm into the mid 80s. And yes, there can be a few isolated thunderstorms out there, mainly in the southwestern portion of the state. Not everyone is going to see a storm. Don't cancel your plans to kick off the weekend. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we keep the low to mid 80s going into your Sunday. A few more storms if possible across north central Maine and more widespread showers and a few rumbles of thunder heading to Monday. That's going to cool us off in the mid 70s, but no issues warming back up. Tuesday and the Wednesday, we're right back in the mid to upper 80s.
Thank you so much, Chase. Folks, sports is next. Stay with us.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems, all things basementy. Our Stable Lock Wall System offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Something stinks, and I'm not just talking about the food.
I don't want to give up.
We're going to start again, and we're going to rebuild this thing.
Kitchen Nightmares, all new Tuesdays on Fox.
Welcome back in, folks. A former Foxcroft Academy and college football player is giving back to his community in the form of athletic training. Armac Sturm has a story, and it's a great one.
Attaboy, good, good. Turn the body, good, good.
Meet Logan Martin.
If you can't get out of it in 3 steps, just pop the feet. Pop them, pop them, pop them.
The coach of Foxcroft Speed and Skill. This summer, Martin has taken on the role of training young athletes in the Dover-Foxcroft area.
If I have the opportunity to give back to the kids, so that's what I want to do.
Up to 5 days a week, Martin gathers with middle and high school athletes at the Jim Robinson Fieldhouse and works with them on improving their agility and quickness.
Drop the hips, same thing. Now it's right, left, right, pushing off.
His experience as a Division I football player at the University of Maine and later at Husson University helped to spark his passion for coaching.
Yeah, I think it all stems back to, my playing days. I've been at the top of the mountain, I've been at the bottom. So I've seen it all. I've been through a lot. I'm able to share my lessons and stories with the kids, be able to guide them and teach them a lot about the sport.
Martin has over 30 kids signed up for training sessions, each of whom he carefully examines to best mold a program for.
Everyone's at a different part of their athletic careers, so I try to get them in for that first session, analyze, see where they're at athletically, movement-wise, whether they're explosive, they're jumping good, running good, maybe need touch up on form, technique, workouts to build their confidence.
Confidence. While there are plenty of lessons to learn as it pertains to skill, Martin says the main goal of these sessions is to instill belief into the young athletes.
But I think the biggest thing this summer is just developing the confidence of these kids, because a lot of these workouts, my first year doing it, they haven't done a lot of these workouts. They're pretty advanced drills, but they're also meant to show that these kids are capable and put them in positions to build their confidence up and allow them to play more loose, which ultimately just slows the game down.
Take it from the kids themselves. That message has certainly come across well.
He teaches really well, and he pushes us to be like our best and strives us to be better.
To have someone that's going to do that for you is good, because you'll be ready for anything you want to do. If you stick with it, you will get better with them.
For the Foxcroft Academy alum, watching these kids prosper is what makes it all worth it.
I think it's important for people around in a small town to just swallow their pride and just root for the kids. I said that to a parent the other day. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm swallowing my pride, and I'm rooting for every single kid that comes in here and wants to put in work. I want to see them all succeed.
In Dover, Foxcroft, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
I mean, how awesome is that? You love to see an athlete give back to the community that gave so much to them. The New England Patriots finished the work week with their second practice in pads, and the offense put on a show for the fans. Drake May and A.J. Brown connected on the first live play from practice, which set the tone from the very beginning as a star quarterback and wide receiver continue to build their chemistry. Brown was acquired at the beginning of June, and outside of OTAs, this is the duo's first week of working together in full live team practice. Here was May earlier on the connection.
It's just trying to, feel the, connectivity building now. I think that's the biggest thing with, a player like him and a lot of players that we have. It's my job to try to give them the ball, when they want and when they, when I feel like they're open. And that's what he's just, trying to build a relationship with me and him. And, I think you're just seeing it get better every day. And I think that's the best thing about training camp is what you use it for. And, I'm blessed to play with a player like him and looking forward to give him the rock and see him do his thing.
Well, Maine hockey fans, the season will be here before you know it, and Athletic Director Jude Killey spoke on the direction of the programs earlier this week. During new women's hockey head coach Alex Gittin's introductory press conference on Tuesday, Killey took the time to discuss how much the sport of hockey meant to the University of Maine and their focus to become one of, if not the top destination for college hockey in the country. And he said it will get any Maine hockey fan fired up.
You can just zoom out for a minute with where we started. You often hear us talk about wanting to be one of the top 5 Division I athletic programs in Greater New England. So that's where we want to start. And at the University of Maine, that means that hockey has to be exceptional. It has to be exceptional. And specifically, we want to be the premier destination for college hockey. And what I want to be clear about with you all today is that is an all-inclusive statement. That's not a men's hockey statement. That's not a women's hockey statement. That is an ice hockey statement.
I mean, hockey's always been huge in Maine, but it's never been bigger nationally with the Olympics, shows like off-campus heated rivalry, all that stuff. It is a big hit and trending in the United States right now. For all that's the time we have for sports. We're right back after the break.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails of quality holistic medicine.
Need a driveway paved or an entire road surfaced? Give Eaton Paving and Excavation a call. Eaton Paving offers a full line of excavation packages, from new home projects to new and replacement septics and driveways. We also install new shoreland and do shoreland repairs. Our operators have more than 75 years combined experience, and we have been delivering quality, professional service for nearly 3 decades. We strive to exceed your expectations. Give us a call today at 207-348-5630 or visit us at EatonPaving.com.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters, turn scrap into cash.
Car accidents can be scary. It can feel like the whole world is crashing down around you. Hurt in a car accident, I'm on top of it. I'm your go-to guy.
Call 222-2222.
Jado Highlands Golf Course, nestled in the woods of Lincoln, just a short drive from Bangor or Holton. Designed for players of all abilities, Jado features everything a golfer desires. 18 fully irrigated holes, driving range, practice green, and a golf shop with instruction available. Jado maintains quality course conditions while proudly displaying some of the most scenic views in Maine. Challenge yourself to a round of golf surrounded by the beauty of Maine at Jado Highlands Golf Course.
Welcome to the show that nobody wants to win.
How you guys feeling?
Stupid.
What did the itsy bitsy spider climb up?
Whoa! Nation's Dumbest, all new Wednesdays on Fox, anytime on Hulu.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Say sorry. Your Honor. Promise not an answer. I love this job.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
Brewer Public Safety just concluded their 6th Youth Public Safety Academy. The kids had the opportunity to learn about a bunch of things, different aspects of EMS, fire, police, and even dispatching.
We're connecting with the community, and it's all about relationships at the end of the day. And it widens people's knowledge about different jobs people do. And again, it's mostly about relationships.
Well, for many kids who attended the academy, they left feeling inspired.
Either a police officer or being part of the dispatch, the 911 dispatchers.
Okay, what about you, bud?
I would probably start with like the firefighting, and then I might move on to like police and stuff.
Sounds like he wants to do it all. Go get him. Well, a rare opportunity today for those on board and on land as the gaff schooner Harvey Gamage docked in Bangor this morning. As our Doug Banks reports, her arrival is part of an immersive tour of the Penobscot River.
It's something different to see her on the waterfront here on a Friday afternoon.
It was a spectacle for spectators as they watched the gaff schooner Harvey Gamage dock at the Bangor waterfront. She began her trip Friday morning in Bucksport. Her waterfront arrival is part of the 4-port loop put on by the Penobscot Maritime Heritage Association, which takes passengers on a voyage of the Penobscot River.
This was the interstate system years ago.
With stops in Bucksport, Searsport, Castine, Bangor, and Brewer. According to the association's president, ambitions to create the 4-port loop tour set sail 3 years ago when the Santa Maria traversed the Penobscot.
And it was so overwhelming in Bucksport you couldn't find a parking spot.
This year's immersive tour celebrates America's 250th anniversary, and he says plans are in place 3 years from now to honor the worst U.S. naval defeat prior to Pearl Harbor.
The Penobscot Expedition.
Built in 1973 in South Bristol, Maine, the Harvey Gamage stands approximately 91 feet tall and 131 feet long, a representation of the state's wooden boat-building tradition, serving as an educational vessel for over 5 decades.
And they learn how to jib the sails and manage the ship, and by the time they're through in 1 week, they can do it themselves.
Various vessels dock here in Bangor, but because of the height of the Veterans Remembrance Bridge, it's a rare opportunity when a ship like the Harvey Gamage makes its way to the waterfront.
We don't see them very often this far upstream, so it's a unique opportunity for spectators here in the community and from around the region.
The vessel began its return voyage to Bucksport at 2 p.m. In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And that is going to do it for us, folks. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
So the case had a bittersweet outcome.
Although she was able to help bring justice for Chris Reagan's murder, she was fired from her job as police chief after Kelly's arrest.
I started to have some issues with my boss at work, and those issues kind of got heated.
But while Laura may have lost her job, she found romance in an unlikely place.
I felt immediately connected to him just because of the person he was.
And so you kind of made the first move. What happened?
One day text him and I said, "Do you want to kiss me?" I was like, why did I send that? Because there was like dead air, just no response for a long time.
You know, the answer was yes right out of the gate as soon as I read it.
So you asked for the first kiss. Who asked for whose hand in marriage?
I did.
How'd that go, big guy?
It went well. She accepted right away.
What's the future for both of you?
We own a piece of land that Laura picked in the UP right on a lake, and one day I'm going to build her a dream house there.
And that's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
The most heart-pounding true crime drama. Sex Trail Live 2020 True Crime. Shocking. New episodes now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Decker Investigations.
All episodes of RJ Decker are now streaming on Hulu.
Como se dice possible homicide?
It's being called one of the best new shows this year.
Try not to die tonight.
I will do my best.
RJ Decker. All episodes now streaming.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.